Alright, so we're streaming again, and I'm going to refresh my YouTube page so that I can just see that it is in fact Haps. Now this is interesting. Look who just came to the door. Look who just stopped by. Yep, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, the painting inside the little wingdinger they gave me, it's a pretty good painting, actually. Looks pretty good. So we could talk about the the Jehovah's Witnesses and all the rest. It would be interesting, probably. Okay, so now, according to this, let me unmute this. Okay, so it looks like I need to go back to my channel, and yes, it says that I'm live now, so there I am. Okay, cool. Wonder what the delay is. There's about a 30-second delay, it looks like. Okay, so anyway. Okay, so then it cuts to Ninja number 1. So like I said, I would be very I would have a lot of fun talking about the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I don't think I could. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. OBS, actually, I'm going to blame that one on OBS, not YouTube, because it all got interrupted for a second. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and play this. I just want to check the timing on it. Okay. Okay, way too fast on this move, so I'm going to switch that out. What should it be? I don't know. I think I need more context. I need to go back here. Okay, I guess that's actually not too bad. So, never hurts to take half a second and go back and review a little bit. Kari's sleeping. Wide shot. And uh-oh. Frankly, I'm feeling a little uncertain about this, but I guess that shouldn't be a big surprise since I don't think I ever get to the point where I'm tightening up those pencil tests, you know, inking, where it doesn't feel like it, you know, it was kind of almost better before it was inked. You know, it's easy. This is my contention. Basically, it's easy to make a pencil test look good. It's hard to make final art look good. That's just my opinion. Let me unsolo that layer, and then let me go up here. So when we get to here, he's got one leg up. So I think that's kind of what's missing here. So I want to be in the Ninja 2 layer, and I want to go ahead and get that in there. Now, if I want to cheat it, there's no reason I can't cheat it. So I've got all these layers open, or you know, nothing soloed or muted right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select linked and shift duplicate. Rotate this probably about like that. And then let's do a little tweaking. Okay, what I'm going to do is go like this and like this. And we need to hit the comma key Okay, and then expand this a little bit. Okay, we want projected. If it's connected, proportional editing, it will only affect the strokes that are actually selected. If you go projected 2D, then it's just going to say any strokes that are in the vicinity will be affected. So there you go. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just squeeze that a little bit and push that up and actually even rotate it slightly. Okay, so that's cool. So yeah, I stole the other ninja's leg. I don't know if that constitutes a crime. Let me see. Okay, the only thing I don't like about this is I feel like I've sort of fluffed that line. I know that's pretty nitpicky because that's going to go by real fast, but okay, so could this be better? Yeah. I'm going to say I actually think this would be more, and Dave, are you ever going to finish a sentence? Okay, so I'm going to hit the period key so I can center this on his knee, and I want to rotate. Oops, we got a couple erroneous points that have been grabbed, so period key. Yeah, I want it to be more like that. So then we'll just erase these guys. And that looks better to me. So let's zip back out to our camera view, and we're going to be able to get working on these frames here pretty quick. So okay, I don't want anything selected, and as long as we're here, let's grab all these points and hit Control M to move them to the ink layer. You know, as things are more complete and solid, we go ahead and just wait a second. My bad. My bad. Stupid attack. Pretty sure. Yes, by moving those, points, I think I introduced keyframes where I didn't want to. I'm sorry. I hate when I do stuff like that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, so what that means is, let's go to the Akari layer. Let's just get this right. Shouldn't take very long. Let's delete those keyframes. That's fine. Let's go to Monastery Wall. Delete those keyframes. Okay. So I'm gonna put a marker in right here. I find I keep wanting to cut to close up of Ninja 1. Okay, I had my. Okay, now that's interesting. Control M. Okay, cut to close up Ninja 1. Okay, there we go. Just so I know, this is where we do want to finally kick in some keyframes, just so those guys aren't showing. Okay, so now Ninja 1, climb, climb, climb. Erroneous, erroneous. Get rid of it. Okay. And now this is what I was talking about, being sure to check your work as you go. Right now, somehow, by deleting a keyframe or something, I erased his leg in this pose of Ninja 2. His leg is missing. Now, big tragedy. It's going to take me 5 seconds to redraw it, but it is, you know, you just really got to pay attention when you're starting to like delete keyframes and move things around. You got to really pay attention to what you're doing so you don't accidentally make changes you did not intend. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit too. Obviously you could use the sculpt tool and, or you know, the grab, which frankly is quite useful. I don't use it a lot, but it definitely is a great way to tweak out your, like right there, his shoulder. Definitely useful. I more often than not will just use my mouse, hit the G tool, and use proportional editing to accomplish the same thing. Doesn't really make a big difference. So now what I want to do is check my work. Seems like he appeared all of a sudden. Okay, stop. Let's go to Ninja 1. Look at this. I think this key, whoops, this key right here, which is the first pose with him, needs to come later. Because once, you know, the thing about movement is you want to move and then hold. Move, hold. Then he appears. Okay, so what I don't really like, I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this frame. I'm going to go ahead and put a keyframe here, and I'm kind of taking a chance here that it'll work, but I'm just going to sort of stagger this a bit. And then on this keyframe, what I want to do is erase everything except this hand. Okay, so let's just hit the control key to draw a lasso around everything that isn't that hand. Delete those strokes. I think that works. Let's give it a crack. I like that. That feels pretty good. Seems like there was one other potential in, yes, right there. Potential in between. On Ninja 2, kind of felt like maybe an in between right here would be useful. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Let's put the onion skins on. Yeah, I mean, it might be overkill. Darn it, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Okay, just so it's a little smoother, it felt a little abrupt. Problematic though that, yeah, this is not going to work. because that's not what would happen. His leg would, yeah, that's better. Okay, now this is where you want to be careful about the sculpting tool and stuff like that, because now I got these little minor changes that, do I want to try to reverse that? I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna make a couple adjustments here just to sort of give it some, I mean, this I definitely don't like anyway, so if there's a little bit of motion in his body, that's fine. Problem is with anime, yeah, that goes by pretty quick. So if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go back and just let's just look at the whole thing, what we've got so far. Got to keyframe her breathing. Mm-hmm. 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 That's fine. Okay, so now Ninja 2's coming into view. So let's go ahead and let's solo Ninja 2's layer so that we can just get him moved into the correct color. Whoops. That's good. And actually, I do like the effect of the sculpting. Let's do this. Let's leave the camera view alone and just work here with, yeah. So actually, again, I know I'm not really finishing my sentences. Sorry, folks. But basically, that's what would happen. We're dealing with such a small scale here. I don't know if that makes sense. But in other words, the actual, you can see over here in the camera view that this guy's really, really tiny. So is it because I'm zoomed in so much that Blender's acting like really touchy? So if I roll my mouse, literally one click on my mouse wheel, gone. You know, big change. So okay, so this is definitely a problem. But that's cool. We're gonna go in and fix this, and we're gonna hide it as well. And the way we're gonna hide it is with some things that are gonna be moving. So I feel a little bit like I'm being a little sloppy here on my ink lines and stuff. It is true that if it's a super wide shot, you can get away with a lot, and you don't want a lot of detail. Having said that, you don't really want it to look like garbage either, right? So therefore, let's clean it up a bit. We're gonna have to deal with his ponytail as well. It's actually not a ponytail, it's a tassel. So we'll get to that. But you know, this is again where this is what animation really is. You better like just microscopically working on the details. What time is it? 10:25. We've been live another 20 minutes, so that's cool. I've got so much live streaming footage from the last few days. Actually, it's been a quite productive time. What I'm putting on my YouTube channel at this point is basically what I would want to see. I would want to see somebody actually doing it. I looked for that. I actually looked for, with like OpenTunes, Krita, and Blender, which are the main three tools I'm using. I really looked for some reference material on YouTube of people doing what I'm doing, where they're just really doing the work kind of thing. And there's mostly what you can find is little, I guess what you'd call toy animations, which I've done plenty of. I mean, because that's what you do, is you sort of test and demonstrate things. But when it came to finding incredible work being done, I really wasn't finding it. Which leads me to believe it doesn't exist. Well, I know it doesn't exist. You know, other than the hero guys working with Blender 2.8 and stuff, there really isn't. You would think in the entire world there would be an amazing groundswell of talent creating animation, almost like a community thing, you know, or whatever. But it doesn't exist, and the only reason I can see for that is it's the old adage: animation is hard. It's really hard. A lot of people toy with it, but if you're really gonna do it and do it well, it's hard. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of work, a lot of commitment, yada yada yada. Okay, so let's go back to the camera view. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving forward now. Now here's where you would make a big mistake if you're not careful. I need to hit the star key, so I'm not soloing Ninja 1's channel anymore, or layer I should say. I need to select Ninja. Did I say Ninja 1? I meant Ninja 2, and then now I'm going to select Ninja 1, and I can get busy with inking him. Alright, and the way we're going to do that is kind of the way we've been doing a lot of it, just a progressive cleanup process, which in his case is going to be a good bit of cut and paste. Now I'm not going to put the ponytail in its own layer, because this whole clip only goes by, you know, fairly quickly, and the ponytail is sort of integral to the drawing. There's no reason, and it's not flopping around in a separate animation loop, so there's no reason to treat it independently. Now before I go too farther though, before I go too far, I do want to say that it may be, yeah, I believe initially I actually took this frame. This frame was a copy of this frame. So now when we come over here, he's got his arm like that. So so why would I not grab this if this is a suitably, and by the way, as long as I'm here, I'm going to go to this keyframe and I'm going to clean this up. Okay, just going to clean up. I've sort of discovered this the other day. If you go ahead and hit select all, you can find those erroneous dots, points that maybe you didn't know were there. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. Oh, there's still a couple left. Okay, now I'm going to hit Control C, Okay. Here we go. Control V. Nope, I just hit... okay. I just had a stupid attack. Sorry, people. I literally hit Control C, and then when I went to paste it in, I hit Control C again. Control V. Okay. Period. I mean, comma. Okay, I see what the problem is. Look at that. Once again, oh my gosh. Okay, that's cool. Let's deal with it. Nice. Okay. Size this up. Because let's face it, okay. Stop. Turn off proportional editing. Okay. Size this up. And we do see a problem. Okay. So now, functionally, the sketch color will serve as a guide. What we clearly forgot to do is this. Okay. Excuse me, guys. Okay. And I think for my purposes, what I'm going to do is just turn it down so it's a little easier to see what's behind. But this is kind of nice because if I now lock the sketch layer, since it's only 4 keyframes, I'm going to go ahead and paste this in 4 times. Yep. Now, one thing I want to note is we were planning on adding some shake to his body, so it sort of looks like he's going like this. You see that in anime a lot. Oh, okay. Say, hi, Nelson. I just saw your comment. I've got 3 screens going on, so this is where I'm working, and then I've got 2 screens there, so every once in a while I have to look up on the left screen and see that there's people there. So, since you're new here, I don't recognize your name. I'll go ahead and show you what I've been doing so far. This was all penciled. Basically, I did a pencil test, and now I'm inking it. So here's what we've got. We've got this character, Akari, and her breathing will be animated. It cuts to a wide shot. She's sleeping. She's actually in a Tibetan monastery. That's where she was raised. So then you see these ninja guys that are climbing the wall. And now you can't really see it very well here because I turned this color down, so I'll turn this back up again. So this guy turns around, and this guy's really struggling. He tries to climb up. Something drops, which disturbs Akari, so she sort of... But she just flips over. And now these guys, he's like worried. His partner's kind of upset with him. But up they go, and what they don't realize is she's completely aware that they're coming. So anyway, that's in case you wondered, that's what we're working on. Alright, so that was a nice recap. Back to work. Okay, so all we're trying to do here is essentially leverage the work we did earlier. So since we've got this keyframe from the wide shot, why not use it, right? So with that, let's turn this off just to make sure. Okay. Now you might be a little concerned because there's some shakiness in the lines and this and that. Yeah, I guess I would agree. At this point, it would probably be good to, let me make sure I'm in smooth mode, be a little more meticulous, because this is absolutely a it's a much closer shot. We're gonna see a lot more detail. The danger we have right now, of course, is that if I make any changes, they're yeah, you can see it right here. You can see the, so if we're gonna fix it, this is actually kind of important. If we're going to fix it, we really want to not duplicate these frames at this point. So let's go ahead and take these guys back off. 1, 2, 3. Get rid of that. If we turn the sketch back on, so okay, bad, Dave. I can't do that. And the reason I can't do that is because the sketch is baked into those keyframes. So that's okay. What we want to do is, since the sketch is locked, what we want to do is do it this way. Control A, delete the strokes, or just not Control A, just A. Delete the strokes, A, delete the strokes. Okay, cool. So now we can go back here and actually probably just turn off the sketch. And now let's make sure that this drawing, you said, what about the eraser? Works well? Yeah, when I'm using the grease pencil, I just hit the D key, and actually I got to be careful here because this is I got to remember that the ponytail is in there. But no, I hit the D key, and then on my stylus, if I just press this button, it goes into eraser mode. So it's very very quick and easy. When I'm doing editing, like right now, if I was going to sort of massage this around and maybe use proportional editing, then I would probably switch to the mouse. But if I'm drawing, I use the stylus. Almost any other kind of editing, I tend to go back to the mouse because the stylus is a little bit clunky. So for editing. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and say let's look at this one sketch drawing real quick, just to see where the ponytail is. Okay, so his ponytail goes here. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw this in here. I can clean it up afterwards, but I need to at least get it in there so I know where it is. Okay, so that's cool. So now we can turn the sketch off. And what you're asking about the eraser, now I just press the button and clean that up. So cool. Alright, so that takes care of that, which means that tells me what I do and don't have to draw here. Make sure you subscribe and tell your friends, Nelson. Hey Oscar, how you doing, bud? Back to work today. This is my second live session. I had to stop because the Jehovah's Witnesses came to the door. I've gotten into some lengthy discussions with them in the past. So, anyway. So now, because this is not a wide shot, because it is such a close shot, we want to take a little time and make sure the ink work is clean and nice before we start adding the other keyframes, because whatever we do here is going to repeat for several keyframes. And of course I could put it on a separate layer, but what you don't want to do is make some modifications to, well, copy a bunch of keyframes, copy a pose, and then go back and go, well, I need to clean it up and fix it. So then you go and clean it up, and now you got a bunch of chatter in your animation because it's actually slightly different from frame to frame. So if you're like me and you tend to get moving too fast, you do stuff like that all the time. Probably, that's probably just me. Most people are probably a little more careful. but whatever. So, yeah, yeah. So what do you guys have do you guys do this stuff? I mean, are you guys like doing like animation or whatever? Or cuz honestly, you know, I've looked, seriously have looked for other people like on YouTube doing something like this where they're, you know, where it's like they're actually doing a real animation kind of thing. I can't find it. All I can find is little the same stuff I used to do before I finally got serious about this particular project, which is little tests. You know, you do these little tests and stuff. But even most of that isn't very. You couldn't sell it. Let's put it that way. You know, no way. I got to be careful here. I'm sort of talking and not paying attention to what I'm doing. But you know, for this project, I will say, you know, our intention is to. I'll tell you what our intention is, and then I'll tell you what our plan is. Our intention is to create a series that's absolutely epic, and there's a lot of things about it that I can't really share yet that make it that the you know about the storytelling and about the characters that make it really, really cool. When Valerie came to me with this idea, I was really impressed with the fact that it was funny. I had basically the same setup. Yeah, right. Got it. Do you have like any links to it? I mean, pop a link up there of I don't know, like pencil tests or whatever. If you have them. If you don't, you know, if you're not at that point yet, that's cool too. You know, whatever. So again, our intention is to create a series, and basically we're just getting started. Our plan, in all likelihood, in a way it sort of depends on people like you guys, because we're thinking probably build the audience for this through YouTube, which it'll probably have a different channel. I mean, because most people that would want to watch this couldn't possibly care less about seeing, you know, an animator do this. You know, they don't care about that. They just like anime, you know. So, but our thinking is demonstrate demand, you know, by building the audience through YouTube, and then go pitch it to like Netflix or whatever. Netflix would be the likely candidate. You know, candidly, unless, you know, Final Animation probably, you know, if we did like the guys that did Avatar, for example, and farm it out to South Korea or whatever, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, I know that I'm not going to want to do everything, you know, forever. So, you know, we're sort of cognizant of the fact that we need to think about how we would continue if in fact the production demands were way higher than I'm reading your notes now. No animation, but I have the characters sketch. Cool. Nice. Good. Yeah. Well, that's all you can do. If I will say that if the content is good, I having been, you know, in the media business for 30 years almost, but having been involved with making films for 10 years, almost 10 years, generally speaking, I would say that if the content is good, you will find your audience. You know, it does take time, but you will find your audience. Sometimes your audience is when I have enough content, then I'll get the money. Yeah, I mean, and that's how it goes. You know, I've dealt with a lot of distributors. I mean, I have at least 20 or 20 to, I have 20 to 30 international film distributors, in my email list that I've talked to and who are aware of my work, and none of them would ever put up money to get anything produced. They're looking to distribute something that's already been produced. So if you're looking for money on the front end, you pretty much need to be thinking about networks development. It looks like OBS just disconnected and reconnected, so I think I maybe got blanked out for a minute. I'm going to refresh the YouTube page just to see. It says it's live. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm back live. I think OBS lost me there for a second. So the point I'm getting at is, it really, especially today when you have such a proliferation of content, it's important, you really have to finish the content and be able to demonstrate that you actually can deliver the goods, I think, before anybody's really going to take you very seriously. Having said that, if it's good, Kylie Jenner, you're inviting an interesting story, because I had a very interesting long weekend back in, I think, 2009, where I hung out with Bruce Jenner back before he was a girl. And yeah, okay, well, I guess along the lines of what you're saying, when I did my most recent film that's going to be out everywhere in September, I hired Sean Young. And the thing about getting Hollywood actors, like Oscar, I'll tell you this, if you're actually really serious about doing that type of thing, just go on IMDb. You probably should subscribe to Reconnect. So I assume, okay, so Oscar, I assume that you're probably still paying attention. But if you go on IMDb Pro, then you can get the agent contacts for any Hollywood actor and just call them up. And what you're going to find is, what they're all going to say to you is, you can talk to them about your project, like, whatever your concept is. You could maybe tell them what you're up to. They don't care. They couldn't possibly care less, because everybody thinks their own project is cool. All they care about is, are you making an offer right now or not? If you're making an offer, they'll tell you, send me an email with the exact offer, and within 2 days they'll get back to you, and the actor will either do it or they won't. Okay? So in the case of my most recent film, I actually had a phone conversation with Dawn Wells, who, Oscar, you would know who Dawn Wells was, because she played in Gilligan's Island, Mary Ann. Okay? So, of course, she's quite a bit older now. She wanted the role. Actually, we had a very good conversation, but at the time, I think what I'm going to do here is just ink the head. Okay, so at the time, I was talking to a distributor that had a very strong interest in the picture, and he wanted a Hollywood actor in the film, so they had a name attached to the movie. Let's see. I'm just going to keep blabbing so I sort of finish my point, Oscar, but I'm reading your note. I think my approach would be, once I have content with an audience. Well, exactly. If you've demonstrated that an audience is interested in your content, then a distributor or a network or a Netflix, they will listen to you. Now, my distributor friends have told me that it's increasingly difficult to get a meeting with Netflix, just because they're the creme de la creme distributor at this point in history, and will remain so, because they've taken over the whole industry. They're spending $7 billion, I believe it is. They're going to spend this year on original content, like series and stuff like that. So they are spending, Netflix alone this year is spending about twice what the entire industry spent last year on original content. So they are very committed to that course, and so Netflix does remain the a great customer. Now, if you just have a 90-minute movie, they don't. Wait, I don't need to draw that. I just, sorry, I'm blabbing and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, so now the problem I see. Yeah, this guy's head just grew. That's not cool. I'm gonna fix that. So anyway, the point of my story was, okay, sorry, I need to lock those. My point of my story was that once I contacted Hollywood actors, what you find is their agent will just ask, are you making an offer or not? They don't want to talk about your project. They don't care. And if the price is right, they'll do it. So the reason I hired Sean Young instead of Dawn Wells was because she was ranked quite a bit higher on IMDb at the time, and to the distributor that was important. We want somebody who's ranked better than 500, in the top 500 on IMDb. What's funny about that story is that when the Blade Runner sequel came out, Sean Young jumped to like number 3 in popularity on IMDb. So I'm like, okay, I better go ahead and release the movie. This would be good timing since she's in it, I don't know how much that's really going to help the film, but whatever. If it does, great. That's super duper, and if it does just okay, that's all right too. I got other fish to fry, because I actually shot the movie 3 years ago. I was pokey as can be. I was just doing other things, and I took 3 years to release it. That was the longest I've ever had. It just shows how my interest in creating films has waned, because the last movie I did, I took 2 years to do, and before that, they were all taking like 6 months. It was like really fast. So, okay, so this all needs to be. So I think the takeaway from my little story there is that it isn't hard to get. You're talking about Dwayne Johnson. You're not going to get Dwayne Johnson. Forget it. There's no way your project is going to be compelling enough to get him interested at all, and there's no way you're going to be able to afford his price because he's too hot of a property. But that's the bad news. But the good news is there are a lot of B-list actors, some that are acting constantly on TV shows and stuff today, who you'd be surprised how open they are. Because the thing about actors is, this is what you learn, actors just want to work. So if they have a break in their schedule and you've got a couple $1,000s to throw at them, a lot of times they'll say okay, and they don't care what the script is or any of that. They're going to do their job and learn their lines and come and do what they do and then go home. And that's how it really works, So it's not about glam. It's not really about the content that much, actually, because what I find is they really don't care. Their agent's job is to field offers, and if the price is right, they say, okay, let's draw up a contract, and you buy the plane ticket and get them there, and that's that. So very straightforward, very clinical. And it is disappointing to realize that no one really wants to, and I speak from experience, that at first it's disappointing that no one really wants to talk about how cool your idea is. They just don't care. They just want to know if you're willing to pay what their normal day rate is, and then they'll come in for a day and be your actor. So that's how it works. And it's fun. I mean, I had fun taking Sean Young out to Dos Margaritas and sipping margaritas together. It was cool. It was a good time. She's a neat person. She's actually a very interesting person because she's like a major league conspiracy theorist. Okay, so I'm gonna check here. I was only referring to building an audience like them, not them in particular. For me, the biggest hurdle is getting it done, rinse and repeat for years, and then it'll all fall in place. Oh, that's what you hope. You know, I'd say the key thing is you just if you enjoy the work, that's the important thing. You gotta enjoy the work. And you know, when I do this animation stuff, my whole mentality is actually asking myself, do I really enjoy just doing the work? If it doesn't make me a lot of money or whatever, is that okay? And for me, it's like, it's perfectly okay. You know, I'm tired of, at least for the moment, I'm tired of making movies. Shooting a film it's just really stressful. There's so many details to keep track of. And obviously you can say, well, don't you have a crew for that? No, I don't have a crew for that. My crew, you know, my partner Valerie was my crew on the last couple films, and my daughter Natalie, who has acted in my films, she was kind of my right hand man for quite a few years there. But no, we're talking about really low budget films. These films had budgets under $50,000. So you got to figure out how am I gonna write, direct, edit, score, color correct. How am I gonna do all this stuff in such a way that it's worth it to me to spend that time if the movie doesn't, you know, make a lot of money on the back end? Well, you got to figure out, how do you completely produce a movie from start to finish for less than $10,000, where there literally was no crew. And you know, I'm actually holding lights, or maybe it was the boom microphone at that time, but you know, I'm holding the boom while setting up the camera, yada yada yada. And you know, it's literally like a one man band kind of thing. So let me just show you here. If you Google, if you Google Healed by Grace 2, okay, Google Healed by Grace 2, well, I should say on YouTube, and then you can look at the trailer and just ask yourself, can you produce this entire movie? There's Sean Young. The entire movie, the whole thing, for under $10,000. Do that. I've had people who have lots of experience out in Hollywood who say that even out in Hollywood, there's like hardly anyone can do that. Cannot make a movie that cheap and get that kind of production value on the screen for that kind of a cost. But as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So you either figure it out or you don't do it, right? Okay, so now we gotta, this really needs to be probably connected. Yeah, so I can make this adjustment. So now we gotta go, how did we wind up with 2 keyframes? That's wrong. I really wish that YouTube would not keep blanking out on me here. It seems to. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page again. So it's like OBS is streaming, so I think you guys are seeing it uninterrupted, but my YouTube window keeps freezing up. Okay, so now I'm going to just make a couple adjustments to this. remember, for the most part, this is going to be erased. So I'm hitting Control plus so I can just delete those points. Kind of line that up. Okay, so now let's have a look at the motion here. I like that. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make his eyes, the size anomaly on this guy is nowhere near as bad as it was. I'm going to go ahead and make this projected 2D. And then I'm going to grab 4 points here. Actually, yes, I'm going to grab these points. And I'm going to size. Let's try size Z and see what happens. Nope, that doesn't work. I got to hit the period key. Hello? Do we have another point selected? Okay, I always get that backwards. I need to hit the comma. Okay, so this probably won't work, but I'm going to try. Actually, not bad. Not bad. Let's turn the sketch off and see what we've got. Nice. I like it. Okay, oh, that's funny. Healed. Not killed. LOL. Oh, that's great. Killed by grace. You know, we could talk about religion and how many people have been killed by grace. But the title of the movie is Healed by Grace. So, talking about your content, whatever your idea is, Healed by Grace 1, the movie that's coming out is Healed by Grace 2. So the Healed by Grace 1 is the movie that I did that was by far the most successful. Most of them aren't even worth mentioning. But Healed by Grace at retail made about $1 million. Okay, so the question then becomes, how did that happen? And my opinion is, I'm going to go ahead and create another layer here and call this Ninja 2 static, but actually Ninja 2, we'll call it medium shot. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I got to keep his head in there. So I'm literally going to grab all this. And we're going to move this stuff into a different layer. Okay, let's hit select linked. And I think what we need to do is, okay, let's see if this works. Let's move that to Ninja 2 medium shot. Okay, that worked. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just go back 1 frame and hit DB. And now we can just go to here. I guess actually we want to go to here. And let's turn this let's see here. What do we got? I'm getting a little confused because I'm moving fast and stuff is disappearing. So how did that happen? I'm just looking. Oh, I bet I know. It's because I had the sketch color turned off. Sorry, guys. You get just too many things to keep track of and kind of forget what you're doing. So, all right, so cool. So that means when I get to here, I want to, in the Ninja 2 medium shot, just hit DB. Okay, so Oscar says, my first comic will be artistically related to Genesis. And from oh, so you're a Christian. You're doing like a spiritual thing. Okay, that's cool. So that might be something. Lilith will play a key role in the comic as well. Okay, Interesting. Okay, so I need to kill that, and because I had the sketch turned off, yes. So now what I've got to figure out is why the sketch of Ninja 2 is prevailing upon this shot. And what I need to figure out is what layer is that in? Oh, I'll bet you I put it in the sketch layer. Okay, cool. That's cool. So I can just kill that. Alright, so that's good. Sorry, just dealing with organizational issues here just a little bit. Okay, now this is definitely going to want to be edited. Okay, not a Christian. Okay, well that's cool too. I'm not a religious person, but I do like some of the stories and things discussed in the Bible. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I am a Christian, a little bit unconventional. My faith is very simple. Number one, the whole idea of sin makes sense to me in the sense that there's a lot of things about life we can't get right. Like, how do you navigate the transition from life to death? I can't do that. So I'm depending on God to do for me what I can't do for myself. It's pretty much that simple. There's a lot more you could say, but that's the crux of it. So I recognize my dependence, on my Creator to fill in some gaps for me that I just don't have the ability to take care of myself. But having said that, and believe me, I say that as a Christian, I think that there's been at least as much damage and destruction done in this world in the name of religion, Christianity being one of the key ones, such that the greatest enemy of Christianity is Christians, actually, because of the way we behave and the way we treat each other and all the rest. So, like I said, you could talk a lot about that, but I have some fairly strong opinions, I suppose, about that kind of thing. But at the same time, in the last couple of years, I've gotten a lot out of, and I say this for you, Oscar, is I've gotten a lot out of reading some just other, I've sort of boned up on David Icke's conspiracy theories. I've read, who wrote the thing about the Sumerian tablets? Sitchin's writings about the Anunnaki. Manly P. Hall's book, what is it? Secret Teachings of All Ages, I think, or something like that. I think it's Secret Teachings of All Ages. So there's a lot of mysticism out there that's very interesting, and frankly, I think that whether you're a Christian or whatever your belief system is, we all can learn from each other, because I think everybody's got parts of it right, and it's that arrogance of thinking that we've got everybody in the history of the world has gotten it wrong, but now my group of people in my time happen to be the ones through all of history that figured it out and got it right. I mean, how arrogant is that? It's stupid. It's just silly. Fair enough. It's too vast to comprehend, and that's exactly right. So when I talk about dependence on my Creator, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I acknowledge the fact that there's no way I can have the answers, or there's no way I can understand, how does life happen, and we're learning, and in the area of science, there's a lot of cool things we're learning today that are turning some of our things we used to think we know on its head, and that's cool too. I mean, that's okay. So we definitely have a major problem here now that I see this. Okay, I'm going to stop blabbing and get refocused here on this animation, because I really screwed this up. Okay, so there's the body, so that's cool. So now I can go up here and solo this layer, and what I'm going to do is just get this so it doesn't look quite so stupid. The size should be about like that, and the position should be about like that, and that actually looks really good. Yep, that looks way better. So let's just fix this. I'm going to actually anchor to a spot up there, hit the period key. Okay, let's just check. Yep. Size it. But yeah, I think that here's the thing. Most people's belief systems are not logical. We don't believe what we believe because we've really done all kinds of research and we've determined logically that this is actually the most sensible thing to believe. Most people believe what they believe because they have some kind of fear or insecurity and they're looking for some assurance. Okay? And usually that doesn't come from a base of knowledge, it comes from community. It's actually from their emotional needs being met that they draw what is absolutely an erroneous connection between the value they place in that community and the belief system that that community shares. That doesn't mean that the community is right or wrong. It just means that that's an erroneous connection. And so therefore, once people have a comfort with a belief system, because it is tied emotionally to their sense of community and in essence their identity, then they will defend it. They will defend that belief system vehemently, even when a lot of the beliefs are demonstrably either silly or erroneous. Right? So if you don't want to fall into that trap, you know, and sort of like be an emotionally healthy person, then you need to have, no matter what you believe, you need to have an open mind and realize that, you know, maybe somebody's got another idea that you can learn from, right? So I think that's very important. Okay, so we got this. This is definitely looking better now. We got 3 watching now. Okay, so now we got to go through and make a few tweaks to tighten this up. So bear with me, folks. I'm having to be a little more meticulous now because this is not a super wide shot like the previous one was. And so we're on the hook to make sure that the details are acceptable. That looks stupid. Okay. Even though this is outside of the camera view. That's why I'm actually doing a bad job of drawing it, as I'm sort of giving myself stupid excuses here to not do a good job. So I'm going to go to the front view so I'm not thinking about the camera and just adjust this. Okay, so his skull's going to go around like that, and actually it's probably going to be something more like that. And he's whipping around fairly quickly, so the idea that there'd be a little inertia here on the hair, keeping it up for a moment, I don't really have a problem with that idea. Oh, Nephilim. Oh yeah, see the Nephilim, if you look into the Anunnaki, is it Jeremiah Sitchin or Jacob? I can't remember Sitchin's first name, but if you read Sitchin's book about the Sumerian tablets, the legend, yeah, Zechariah. Okay, I blew that pretty bad. Zechariah Sitchin. The story of the Anunnaki being essentially aliens who came to Earth, depending on who you ask, somewhere between 30 and 300,000 years ago, doing genetic experiments on bipedal hominids, which were the precursors of the human race, that the Anunnaki created the human race, in fact, through genetic experiments because they were trying to build a slave race to mine gold on the Earth. Okay, so that sounds insane when I say it, but there are people who sincerely believe that, and considering how little we actually know about ancient history, it's not totally ridiculous to consider. But the point away, and they were offspring, the fallen fell. Right, correct. So the explanation of who the Nephilim were is that they were. I mean, I think from the Anunnaki standpoint, I believe that Anakin. Okay, so so you're familiar with the story of the Anunnaki and Enlil, and Christians really choke on it because it flips the whole story upside down. In the Anunnaki story, the bad guy, the character that corresponds to what you'd call Lucifer, is in fact the good guy who's protecting the human race from the character that corresponds to Jehovah. So, so yeah, Christians major big time choke on that one, because now the argument is that, okay, where's my eraser? Something weird is going on here. I'm gonna save my work. So yeah, the problem is that the good guy's the bad guy and vice versa. Okay. Okay, so what we need to do is fix this here. Let's just regroup here and make sure. Okay, I put that in his head layer, which is kind of stupid. Right now, that's soloed. So I'm gonna go ahead and change that. I don't want that in there. What I want to do is go back here and look at, I want to look at the body, because the body, this is supposed to be, I guess it's this one, so I need to unlock that. Yep, there we go. Let's see here. The offspring where the fallen fell throughout the universe. I do call him a child of Anakin. Anakin, that's interesting because of the Star Wars connection there. Yeah, I have another story about Sumerian vampire who, okay. Yeah, so it sounds like you're an author. You've done some writing and stuff. That's cool. How long have we been going today? Wow, hour and 15 minutes. Okay, so what I need to do is ask myself why. The only explanation for what I'm seeing right now, yep, that's the explanation, is that this stuff is actually in the wrong layer. So probably the quick fix for that would be to just, let's lock this, grab these, select linked, and move them to this layer. I think that'll do the trick. Now if we take that out and unlock this, hopefully, because there's only one keyframe, so that'll lock through. So now we can tighten this up right here, and that's going to be sustained across all the pictures. So turning that back on. Okay. So now what I said earlier was I was not going to put the ponytail on a separate layer. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm essentially going to treat these two layers as if they were one for the purposes of this little section here. I mean, come on, it's only 4 keyframes. So yeah, the Nephilim, the Anunnaki, it's all interesting stuff. In terms of what's true, if you want to get beyond stories and talk about whether it's all true or not, the more I looked into it, the more I found it basically is an interesting story, but the evidence is a little sketchy, and the biblical narrative would be just as likely as the Anunnaki narrative. The problem with the biblical narrative is there's so much left out. Now, people who get excited about the Sumerian legends will tell you that these legends were written, so many thousands of years before the Bible, and so they are, that the Bible is actually an edited or summarized version of the Sumerian legends. that doesn't necessarily stack up. My best information I've gotten, and it's been a while since I looked into it, is that the Sumerian tablets that have been found actually, the tablets themselves actually date from later. They don't date from the time that they talk about. So can't wait to get the first book done. I think it'll be interesting because I did different take on angels and the fight in heaven. I gotcha. Have you got a publisher? Alright, let's go here. Okay. Now, I'm actually... Oh, shoot. Darn it. That's right. I have to put that in this layer. I'm going to probably have to merge these layers together. Because the problem is that the... in the first frame, these lines need to not be there. And in the second frame, they need to be there. So now that I've drawn them, I'm going to go like this, select linked, Control C, because I don't, if it's only 3 or 4 frames, I don't mind cutting and pasting. No, I'm just doing it online, it'll be for free. Oh, that's cool. Alright. Yeah, all that fantasy stuff, you know, I wish I could say that I really enjoy like reading it, fantasy novels and stuff like that, but the truth is I don't. I mean, I just read the whole if you wish this way. Okay, yeah. Because I assume you were talking about a comic earlier, so I assume that you're an artist and you are going to draw it. Yeah, I got a friend of mine, Kanan White, is a successful comic book artist, and he's right here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And his most notable work was a comic book called Uber, which is sort of a re-envisioning of some World War II Nazi Hitler stuff. Okay, so gotta go get these lines in here. Okay, we got a little problem here for sure. And I think I'm gonna play it like that, like it's between these two. It's sort of hidden. Okay, so let me just look at this. If that actually happened, what would really go on here is this would sort of whip around a bit. Okay, and I think what happens next is in the sketch layer. Yeah, we cut to that shot. So I guess we could turn the sketch layer on, lock the ink, and now if we go back, we should be able to just delete the strokes so we're no longer being confused by those. I'm kind of glad to have that behind me. So honestly, I think that I live in Chicago. Okay, cool. My son actually went to college in Chicago. My 28-year-old son. Let's see. Drawing off for yep. I only do it as a hobby. I live in Chicago. Go to Hammond to Horseshoe. Okay. Never been a big Horseshoe guy myself, but I won't hold that against you. Okay. Let's see here. All right. That should not be locked, and we are in the Ninja layer. Oh, it's cool. I never really saw YouTube as a way to sort of like meet people or whatever, but it kind of seems to work that way a little bit. Okay, so I think that one of the interesting lessons here with this animation is how much cutting and pasting I'm finding myself doing. It's almost like really thinking in terms of getting one thing right and then use it over and over, because I mean, you think about how much of these guys was just repeated. Now, there's one thing that does concern me a little bit, is that I think, in my opinion, Ninja number 2 is too small. Not by much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, just in the interest of sticking to what I said I was going to do, I'm going to go ahead and insert a text object here. Text. And we're going to size that baby down. And we're going to hit the tab key, and we're going to name that Ninja 2. Okay. I'm just going to size that down. Okay, error. This might be a good time to save my work. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is go... Let's go back to Edit Strokes mode. And... Sorry about this. Do the points bog Blender down? No, I mean, not anywhere near. You can have a lot of points in the Blender in every way bogs down way less than other programs. Like Creed is not too bad now with version 4. You can deal with fairly large files. The latest GIMP, I think it's version, coincidentally, I believe is also version 2.8. But the latest version of GIMP is very, very efficient. Meaning that you can deal with really big images with a lot of layers, and it doesn't seem to bog down. But for drawing, Blender's great and MyPaint are great in terms of efficiency. I also like the fact that they have what amounts to an infinite canvas. Okay, so here's... I'm going to go ahead and move this up so it's sort of attached to Ninja 1. This really shouldn't say Ninja 2 medium shot. It should say Ninja 1 medium shot. But that's just me being in a hurry. Okay, so the Ninja 2 layer... what I'm going to do is I'm just going to parent that layer. Okay, so this is one thing, by the way, I've noticed. I'm in object mode. I always want to go down here and change the name. Okay, and then we're going to take the Ninja 2 layer, parent it to Ninja 2, and that way I can just go like this. I can just size this up a little bit. And there, I've made that adjustment. So it's super cool to be able to do that. Okay, okay, no more questions. That's cool. So now I'm gonna unlock. Gonna have to deal with the ponytail at some point. I think we're gonna put the sketch back on. Okay, and I left the sketch in through this section specifically so I could map in the animation of the ponytail. So let's deal with the ponytail. Let's leave the sketch layer on and the ponytail layer on, and let's literally turn off everything else. Okay, so sketch layer's on. Ponytail shows up right there. Let's deal with it. Okay, I think the second keyframe is going to actually blow it over there. So that means that this is correct. And for the moment, what I'm going to do is lock the sketch color so I can't accidentally grab those. Okay, and I actually have a problem here. Oh, D tab. I got to be in edit points mode. Okay. Okay. So that's fine. So now we go to the next keyframe. I'm going to grab this, point it there, and we're going to do a rotation. And this is another great thing about Blender, is just the ability to interactively treat these points as if they had bones in them or something. Okay, and then I'm going to go rotate this, but turn that down so I get that. Okay, now we're going to drag this around. Let's just kind of do it this way. And then I'll turn on the smoothing, and hopefully that can calm that down a little bit to enough to where we can make that adjustment. But if we're going to do that, I want to have a little bit more volume here, so I'm just going to size that up slightly. Okay, now it feels to me like his ponytail just grew. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do actually, let's put the point here on his head, the point of origin. Shrink it slightly. Shrink it slightly. Okay, that shot I don't like at all. Let's go to grab mode and just fix it this way. So let's hit the E key. Alright, let's go back here. Okay, and let us continue. Before I go too much further though, I'm going to smooth this. Let's put the origin back there where it belongs. And I'm going to bend it here. Okay, got to use my mouse so I can just roll it. And so we're going from there to there to there. Alright, so rotate. Okay. Let's size that down a bit and then switch back to the grab tool. Anything else going on? No, doesn't look like it. And it doesn't look like YouTube is bogging down either. So now I'm going to switch back to the smooth tool and let's just smooth this out. Okay, that's cool. A little smoothing there would be good, I think. Okay, I'm going to put the point there. Rotation. Okay, I don't like that. I just want to grab just the very end of it. Yep, like that. Isn't that cool? I think that's super cool. That's where the Blender grease pencil is really nice. Okay, now it seems to stay static, so the question for me becomes, well, what happens next? Okay, so I'm going to turn on all my layers, but turn the sketch off. And in the ponytail layer, what's a little concerning is that, let's see, let me see how many frames I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fix this and we're going to turn it into a looping cycle. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, how should we do this? Should we reverse them? Let's reverse them. I just purchased an XP pen. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, dude, Hakim, I have two. Am I saying that right? Hakim? I have two of them, and Oscar, I think it was Oscar that was asking me about this yesterday. No complaints. And believe me, I deal with, I've dealt with computer peripherals for a lot of years. I heartily endorse the XP Pen products. and especially the Artist 15.6, because you plug it into your HDMI port and it is powered by your USB, so you don't need an external power source, although you can use one. You can plug it, you can plug the USB jack from the XP Pen Artist into an adapter that they send you. They also send you all the adapters you'll need so you can make it work with your computer setup, but for me it's been seamless. Literally plugged it into this machine. It actually worked immediately, but you didn't get pressure sensitivity, so of course I had to install the driver. But there's been no tracking issues, no funkiness with the screen or the driver or connecting. Whoever I was talking to yesterday, and I thought it was Oscar, but I don't remember for sure, the only thing I had to do was, and sorry Oscar if I'm wrong about that, I'm moving fast here so I don't remember, but color calibration I haven't messed with, because I mean, you think about it, here I am, I'm working with the XP Pen Artist, okay, so I'm working with this, but I also have this screen here and this screen here, so it's not like I can't quickly compare my color. I've never been big on color calibration anyway, and here's why. If I'm going to put out a movie and I want the color to be right, then it's just like audio. It's just like doing EQ on audio. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a movie that I know looks good, or if it's music, I'm going to pull up a song by an artist that I like that's in a similar style to whatever I'm working on, and I'm going to listen to it, and I'm going to A-B mine against theirs. I'm going to try to match the balance of the bass and the treble and the mid-range on my recording to match a known good recording. If you do it, if you A-B it, you don't even need necessarily to have that great of monitors, actually. So it's the same with color calibration. You can knock yourself out doing color calibration and trying to know that you're going to have perfect color. But what I say is, out of the box, the color's fine. I'm sure it's a little tinted one way or the other. I think it's tinted slightly blue on mine. But at the end of the day, you're going to want to look at it on different monitors, and you're going to want to color correct to sort of match, you know, not perfectly, but you're going to want to just match something that's a known good looking, you know, video, cartoon, movie, whatever it is that you're talking about. I have found that A-Being is, and when I say A-Being, what I mean is A-B. You're comparing A to B. A is the known, B is yours. As long as you A-B your work, you're going to be able to get a pretty good result without having to jump through a bunch of calibration hoops. Okay, that's my opinion. Other people may disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so now what we've got is we got this guy jumped up here, and our ponytail Ninja 2. Okay. Okay. I think I agree with you, Oscar. For the price, it's incredible. What was it? $350 to I went ahead. I liked it so much I bought a second one so that I didn't have to keep porting it around between the two machines. You know, call me lazy. But yeah, I love it. Okay, so now the problem that we have here is that we have, okay, we're going to get rid of this keyframe, and you're going to see how this is going to work here in a minute. Hopefully it'll work. So we want to have, my general policy is to just hit DB, so I'm going to hit DB and insert a keyframe. So now we've got this. So the wind picks up, so we're going to have to deal with the wind picking up here shortly. So I'm going to hit DB again to insert a blank keyframe. Get it quickly, the mid-size Wacom. Yeah, but see, Oscar, I'm so happy with the artist that the XP pen product that I have no and I have two of them. You know, I'm sort of committed to that product. I have no interest in Wacom products at this point. I think that Wacom, you know, there's different ways to approach the marketplace, and Wacom has taken the high road, which is we're going to be the high price product, and you know, we're going to glue ourselves to the perception that higher price means higher quality, and that's just the strategy we're going to take. I don't think there's anything wrong with. I see. Yeah. So I got you. Anyway, so now I need to focus here because we've got some erroneous stuff going on with our ponytail. So from here to here, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, and what I want to do is lock. Yes, I want to lock Ninja 1 so that it's not possible for me to screw this up. And then what I want to do is rotate this down to there. Yes. So then this bluster of wind comes up. I don't know what's going on with Ninja 2. Yeah, we've got an erroneous we have an erroneous keyframe in here, I think. So always sort of trying to be aware of wacky things that are going on. So now I'm going to lock the Ninja 2 layer as well, so that, again, just so it's not possible, I want to lock everything except what I'm working on, so that it's not possible for me to booger it up by accident. So ponytail. Okay, so now going back to this, it started here, so let's roll this. Okay, that's fine. So now my plan is to go and reverse these frames. Okay. Actually, let's do this. Let's sort of jump around here, and we're basically just going to see how it looks. Okay, let's just see how that looks. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so there we go. So we've solved that problem. Looks like we are streaming still. Holy cow, almost 2 hours today. But that's great, man. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And it is more fun when there's people chatting and whatnot, but I have to say, at the same time, it does slow down my productivity a little bit, probably, because I blab so much. So I don't need you guys to tell me I blab too much, because I know I blab too much. Alright, so that's cool. So now that we have that, we're going to change the name of this to Ponytail. And this would be a good time to save our work. And then the actual color of the ponytail is probably actually going to be something like that. So we might as well just bake that color into it. And I can always change my mind later. But then I think maybe make the outline just slightly darker and give it a little bit of a tint. So that's cool. So now, look at that. That's pretty good. The only thing now I don't like is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to keep with this practice of locking stuff that isn't, you know, that I don't want to accidentally mess up. Okay, so there's a couple things about Ninja 1 here that I'm not satisfied with. Okay, so first of all, and I know I need to fix this drawing right here because of the way I'm going to have to insert keyframes to compensate for the ponytail. Well, actually, I only need to insert one because the ponytail is going to cover it up. So that means that I need to go to Ninja 1 completely. There's aspects of the story that that Valerie is developing that I don't know the details of yet. But the short answer would be that. Interesting. Oh, I see. This need to be gotten rid of. Yep, get rid of that. Cool. We're good. Alright, I see a little, yeah, I thought I saw a little bit of a hiccup there. Okay, so Naruto and Shikamaru. Shikamaru. I like that. I like that. Maybe we'll give them those names. Isn't Naruto's this guy, right? Isn't Naruto got the spiky hair thing going on? I don't watch that show. I mean, I have watched it, but it's not like a show I watch, so. In the last couple years, well, I should say in the past year, my favorite animes, believe it or not, have been, well, originally I was watching, I was reading a manga actually, and that was Bakuman, which is actually about a couple young boys who want to be manga artists. And I really enjoyed the manga of that. So then I checked out the anime, and it was really good too. One Punch Man is great. I enjoy that one. I liked One Punch Man. I liked Kill la Kill. All the stuff from Studio Trigger, which would be Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann, and the latest would be Little Witch Academia. Those guys do great work, but it's a very distinctive style. Not quite the style that Valerie wants for this anime, but I love the way they. I love their work. Now, my criticism of Kill la Kill would be that it got a little repetitive after about 6 episodes. It's like, okay, same old, and I got bored with it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a pretty bold step by erasing this. I'm just going to take it out of there. Okay, so now why? Oh, I see. I have the static shot. Okay. That's an interesting little hiccup. Yeah. Well, One Punch Man was hilarious. I enjoyed Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. I thought that one was pretty funny. But again, that one got boring after maybe half dozen, 6 or 8 episodes. I really enjoyed Food Wars. I thought Food Wars was great. I tend to like stuff that's a little bit wry, that has some comedy to it. And this show certainly will. There's some stuff about this show that's kind of hilarious, actually. Let's see. Control V. Okay. Now the problem I'm going to have is I'm not going to be able to... You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to redraw this. And I'll just go in and clean it up after I sort of get it where it needs to be. Bakuman was done by the same people who did... Yes, exactly. Now, my problem with Death Note, and a lot of people complain about this, is that the whole idea of bringing in, I think his name was Nier, killing off L. You kill off L, and then you replace him with the same guy, for all intents and purposes. So what was the point? That's my only criticism on Death Note, is it seemed pointless to make that transition. But maybe there's details about that show I wasn't really paying attention to that made that move make more sense than I thought it did. For me, it was like, I thought it was stupid. Kind of ruined the show. Okay, so now I need to... Gosh, frankly, You know what I think? I'm causing myself grief here for no good reason. We need to go to the medium shot. So there's the medium shot. I think what we want to do is go to this shot, unlock it. Let's hide this and do the same thing we did before, and then we will make the ponytail opaque because I'm making this take way longer. But yeah, I personally, Hakim, I liked Bakuman better than Death Note. I'm not into the really dark stuff. Okay. So these keyframes need to be gotten rid of. But no, I mean Death Note was good though, for sure. I mean it was really super cool storytelling. Okay, so now that we have this in here, and I think if we were to, yeah, so now we switch to that keyframe. Okay, so this, I'm going to stick a marker in here just so I'm not guessing anymore. And I'm going to call this Ninja 2 Danger Shot. The only reason I'm labeling it is so that when it's turned off, I don't forget why. You know, when I get here, I don't see anything, and I don't want to be asking, well, what happened? Did I make a mistake? So, how many we got watching? 2 watching. Yeah, I like Bakuman 2. The funny thing is it's based on 2 million. Right. Yep. Oh, that's kind of what Valerie and I are doing. I mean, although I am involved with the writing, but you know, it's her story. So my job is to let it be her vision. You know, and my job is to help that vision to be realized. Which to me the discipline of that is fun. I like that. So let's see here. So as long as I'm here, if we turn this guy back on, okay. So now what we want to do is we want to take these. Let's see here. Let's turn the proportional editing off. I'm sort of having to jump through a couple hoops here just to make sure I'm on solid footing. So now I'm going to hit Control J so that those points are connected, and then I'm going to move those to the ponytail color. Okay, so this creates a little bit of a problem. Yep, actually that's okay. So I don't have to color this. As long as we don't, if you look real close, there is not an outline there. So we'll be able to paint that in later, no problem. So that means that now I got to do a little erasing here. Ah, shoot, darn it. Well, if you ever wondered why, way back when, why, Dave, were you trying to keep everything on one layer instead of just, sorry, draw, Blender's acting strange. This doesn't happen very often. First of all, okay, admittedly I'm using the ponytail color, but that shouldn't be causing, okay, it is because I am literally in the wrong layer. So I need to go up here. The good news about Blender is that usually when there's something really strange going on, it is usually your fault. You know, it's not normally Blender that's the problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and redo this. I've only got 3 keyframes to do, and frankly I wasn't very happy with the animation of it anyway. This one's okay, actually. I'm just going to get rid of those. Okay, so I have 3 keyframes to draw. I'm going to use the ponytail color, and I actually am going to switch to my other brush so that it does smoothing for me. So our goal here is to actually whip this all out in essentially one stroke. So what would happen? Turn the proportional editing back on. Connected, not projected. If I have it projected, then it'll move all these other points in the background. Although, actually that's not, I don't think that's true because the layer is locked. But anyway. Okay, yeah, but there are. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit, I believe it's Control. Yes. If I hit Control star on my computer, because this hotkeys I set up, then that allows me to isolate a color. So the star key isolates a layer, and the Control star isolates a color. Right now I'm doing both. Okay. Don't like that. Okay, so now this isn't actually horrible. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I have a few different Ronin and Samurai characters I've used in anime approach for. Yeah, this anime's got a cast of quite a few characters. Well, as I said, the story itself is quite epic. It has far-reaching implications that make a commentary about a lot of different things. Some of the things we were talking about earlier, metaphysics, politics, some of the crazy things that are going on in the world today. I mean, it's an interesting story. Of course, I would think so. I'm doing it, you know, obviously. Okay, I think that's all right. Let's review. Here's one of them. Okay, I guess you can send URLs. Yeah, I don't see the URL in the comments. You may have to spell it out or something stupid like that, and I'll be able to figure out what you're saying. What I really should do is probably put it in the ponytail layer, but I think that this ponytail, why is that appearing under? That's why. This layer should actually be there. Yep. Okay, so having done that, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, but if you spell it out like, you know, blendedplanet.com, you could do something like that, and then I can figure out what you intended. Unless it's like really long and you don't want to do the typing, which I wouldn't criticize you for that. All right. I don't really like that. I don't like the way it comes back there, for one thing. I mean, if it's gonna blow in the wind, it should blow. So I'm just gonna, I'm really spitballing here. In other words, doing something that I already know might not work that well or whatever. I'm just gonna see if it's okay. I don't know. At this point, I don't really like that. It seems like it's motion just for the sake of motion, and that's not really super cool. So let's pop it up to there and see if that makes a difference. Nope, I'm just going to leave that out. Kind of the rule with anime. The rule with anime is, you hold frequently. And remember, the other thing that's really significant here, I should have remembered this, but I forgot, is that through this whole sequence, this guy, and I need to unlock that layer. Okay, and I need to, I need to unlock the color as well, so Control Star. Okay. So I'm going to go back to here just so I don't bake it in at this point. But through this entire section, he's going to be like this. Okay, you're going to see him shaking. So we do not want to, we don't have to worry about the ponytail having motion blowing in the wind through this locked shot, because your eye is not going to see that. That's not what your eye is going to be drawn to. Your eye is going to be drawn to the fact that his whole body is shaking. So we're good to go. With that, yeah, I've been going for 2 hours. I think with that I'm going to stop. I'm ready to take a break. And I've got to do some music production today as well. I've been trying to crank out a jingle pretty much every day because I've mentioned in the past that that's a new business thing that my son and I are doing, is musical jingles, and it's a lot of fun. So if you go to premiermediadesign.com, alright, hello? Yeah, so if you go to premiermediadesign.com and then you go to media service packages, musical jingles, you can hear our demo reel. And I will say that at least 80% of everything in all those jingles is me. So I played all the instruments, sang all the parts, yada yada yada. So that if you kind of wonder what my music sounds like, that'll be a good indication. Okay, so with that, I think that we are done for this morning. I may come back this afternoon again. Let's run the whole thing. Let's put it on a little bigger screen and run the whole thing. So he's climbing up there. Has a mistake. And then she kind of is annoyed by something, but she's still half asleep. He blew it. He's mad. Come on, let's go. Starts climbing again. But she's onto them. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm going to call it a day. And Oscar, if you wanted to send me a link the other way, the email way, just go to blendedplanet.com and you can find my email address. So anyway, that's it for now, and I will see you guys next time.